Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Way Up Trading. Now today we're going to go over the charts here to see how things are playing out with some of our favorite stocks, including AMC and GME. Also in correlation what's happening with the SPY after coming down from our target that we called for several months now, 564, and dropping all the way down sub 550 with probably more to go on the downside. So we're going to see how this is all playing out, see what the correlation is, see what the charts are looking like for the next couple of weeks, what's taking so damn long with both of these stocks that look like they're set to go, and what's holding them back. So we're going to dive into the charts, get a little bit deeper into what's happening, and we're going to do all that and more right after this.
Show me the money.
All right, this is a broad stroke overview. You guys have probably seen this chart 100,000 times by now. But basically what we're looking at is this AMC chart here from the inception up until recent times, including APE and everything like that. So basically the setup on this thing has been a large descending broadening wedge, which broke out during the January 2021 squeeze, created a bull pennant. Second squeeze happened in June 2021 and has been basically waterfalling down ever since that time frame and beyond. All right, we got APE that was introduced back in August of 2022, shot down after all of that information that came in with Judge Zern, and has been in this free fall all the way back down to where it recently just bounced off the midline of the larger descending broadening wedge, basically re-entering where it left off originally. So this schematically makes sense that it basically was a breakout. You eventually came back in, you didn't retest it and bounced back to the upside. You broke through, came back, touched the midline, and now we're basically sitting where we are currently after retesting that midline of this larger descending broadening wedge. Within the last several years, we've also created a second descending broadening wedge, which caused that retracement back here towards that midline, and now we are looking to start to bounce out and to break this, hopefully eventually break this descending broadening wedge that has played a retest of that midline of the previous descending broadening wedge. So this thing is very diagonal. You know, obviously this is a very tricky chart for several different reasons. The manipulation on this thing is quite apparent with the way they operate with volume and the whole nine. So basically, taking a look here, currently we're in current day. We obviously got that bounce off the lows of $2.38 being the all-time low. More recently, we also have created a falling wedge. Very low volume has been playing out ever since the bottom was hit. Obviously, we had that big surge in volume when GME started to squeeze, which pushed us up to $13. Almost a quick retracement or breakthrough of this midline of the second descending broadening wedge, or the more recent descending broadening wedge. Rejected, came back down, and now we are holding this area, which seems to look quite strong. However, the movement has been very, very delayed. And right now we're in a simple situation here where we're just trying to make sure that the momentum carries through. We do have a small area which is actually giving us a lot of trouble. You know, if you've been watching some of the prior videos and things that I talk about, maybe on Twitter, maybe hopefully you follow me there. Creek lines are very important to me on this chart, and they basically are where volatility starts to occur based upon the momentum and volume that follows through. Once you break those areas, you get very large pushes to the upside or the downside, depending on which direction you're coming from. And right now we are sitting on some areas here on AMC that hopefully should hold for us after that rejection, using the SPY and the overall market to basically stop the momentum. I mean, it's been crazy, obviously, with the movement down on the SPY, but this is kind of where we're sitting. Not much opportunity, not much choice on why we sit where we sit, but that we did hit some major levels here on the monthly that have been giving us some issues here. And I would hopefully like to see us hold this area. I don't want us to go much lower than about 483 on the current location. We'll take a look a little further into it. But right now, what we actually were able to pick up, which is quite bullish, and hopefully this thing can actually follow through, was we crossed a 2-day time frame momentum cross up to the upside. And I'm hoping this thing is enough in order to drop it through or push it through toward the upside. We had a lot of trouble breaking above 554, which has been a pain, so to speak. I'm hoping that at this point come down and retest the bottom of this bull channel that we've been forming ever since after bouncing out of the lows and that push with squeeze and GME. But it looks quite like a inverse head and shoulders that's trying to play itself out. It's really trying to hold it, trying to make it happen, but we just keep running into major resistances here. So what we're looking for this retracement or this false breakout that we had here on this recent move to about 551, 555, 571 the other day. They pushed this back down with the market drop. GME also followed as well. Well, GME probably led that pack, but we're looking to hopefully get down toward the bottom of this range. I don't want to see us break anything lower than 470. I'm looking for 483 to hold specifically. 486 would be better, but those are areas that I would like to see bounce and possibly get this move up towards the next level here. Probably looking toward the beginning of August or the end of August now for a potential move towards at least that $8 range, $8.98 being my target. But this is basically what I would look to hopefully play out. Come back down here, break this downtrend, push up towards 510, 513, break those creeks, as those are descending based on time. Again, time is your friend when these creeks play out. As time goes on, those creeks move lower, as hopefully buying pressure would push up towards the upside. The beautiful thing about this is that there's low volume on the pushes down, which is a good thing. We want to see low volume on the stock moving downwards, just really giving us an indication that we are most likely looking to bounce at some point in time. All right, so pay attention to that. Keep a lookout. We did get some momentum crosses to the downside in the 4-hour, and in the natural location to bounce is going to be the 200 moving average. And again, these are 30 moving averages on several different time frames. That's why I have them marked white. The lowest point is a creek line, which is at 469. I definitely do not want to see us go down there. However, if it does bounce, if it does not bounce, we could see some lower numbers, possibly going back towards that lower $4 range, which would really suck. So for now, we're gonna play it for what it is. We want to see this area hold 483 and no lower than 470 for the next couple of days, so we can actually start to reaccumulate and hopefully make this move that I have kind of drawn out here on this time frame, on the 4-hour time frame, which would look like upside going $0.98 range before most likely retracing back down for the next potential move. But this looks like a schematically correct type of move. We just need to see it follow through. Hopefully this can actually wind up playing out. Again, worst case scenario, we break this area and we're gonna have to start all over again, and this is gonna be a from being a hot summer to a cold summer real quick. So let's see how things work out with this. Keep an eye on AMC. Right now we did get this 2-day cross up, which we've been following. If you're following the live streets, you probably see me mention this quite frequently. Very important cross that was just made on AMC. However, it looks like they did the thing to reject it. So this is the part that sucks about watching this stock. The manipulation comes in. They use whatever tactics they can to stop it. However, we did get a close under the level I did not want to close, which is 503. We wound up closing below it, and there's a potential for this to uncross the 2-day cross. Now, if we'd have to hold underneath this level of the for the 2-day cross underneath 501 for about 3 to 4 days. If we stay underneath this area for 4 days, they will uncross this cross. And this is the 2-day momentum cross. Now this one is very important, and it's something I've been watching and been hoping for this to play out over the last several days. The reason I made mention of this is because the last time we saw this actual cross be successful was on 2 different occasions. Right, the last time was during the ape introduction back here in August of 2022. That actually crossed up, but it was faked out and crossed back down once ape was actually released and let out. Obviously, the stock was split into 2 different tickers and so on and so forth, so it drowned out a lot of the volume that was in the AMC stock by itself. So you got this cross up, pushed right back down, and then you continue to bleed off on the stock for the next year and some change. The only other time it was a fully successful move and fully successful cross, like ever, well, not ever, I want to say ever, but they did have a prior to. But the most recent, I should say, would have been back in on June 25th of 2021. That was a successful cross. You obviously got that June 2021 squeeze. Right now, we are crossed. This is the only other time. 2 squeezes, 2 crosses on a 2-day time frame. Again, has not happened again besides only on those two squeezes. We're in that spot right now. Can they hold this thing down? Again, worst case scenario, they hold this thing down underneath 503 for the next couple of days. If they hold it down for the week, this coming week, it is not going to look positive. All right. We want, again, a quick bounce, low volume push down, quick bounce off of at least at very most 470. Better would be about 483. Start to recuperate and then go back and attack this monthly level, or this 50 moving average, excuse me, 100 moving average on the 2-day time frame. I know this has been a long fight, but we're almost there, hopefully. A good thing about this is that we actually have earnings, I believe, starting to show up here for AMC, most likely in the first or second week of August. So that is a key point to pay attention to. Maybe the things are happening that they're happening in preparation for what's happening or what they can expect for earnings, and this is why we're getting this push down. Again, I would like to see a rebound, a push down towards that area as quick as possible, and then we start to get our push into earnings as soon as the end of the week. All right, we need to keep that cross. That cross up is very crucial in AMC on the 2-day chart. If there's anything, we watch that cross. But we'll go over more in detail over the live streams. Make sure you guys jump on the live streams. We do those every day between 10 and 12 Eastern time for about a 2-hour period. We talk about this going in detail, and we discuss different questions and whatnot. So check that out. All right, now basically I have the chart pulled up here for GME. This is the monthly chart. A lot of things I'm expecting on GME are kind of looking a little iffy. It looks like that sell-off using the market to drop this thing down the other day, they have delayed a little bit of the move I was expecting to see going into the summertime months, probably looking at the beginning of September. Now at this point, instead of the August dates that I was looking for a move to potentially happen to those higher numbers, being that they were able to drop this thing out of a recent pennant. I'm going to go to closer time frames. This is, again, you can see this is the monthly. We're taking a look at how things moved up. We obviously had that big squeeze move up to about 80 bucks in pre-market on this breakout of a 3-year long downtrend. Beautiful move. We all caught that one. Hopefully you were able to make some money off that deal. And obviously there was a second pump and whatnot that actually worked out quite well. And then most recently we had the third one up to about 30 bucks. However, we were knocked down into a situation where they brought this thing down below some levels and also below a wedge or a bull pennant that we've been forming over the last several weeks. All right, now kind of sucks to see. All right, it's not the end of the world. GME is still holding some certain levels that we needed to see it hold. This pennant was created obviously from that squeeze up to about 80 bucks, came down, and we've been forming this pennant where we've been basically kind of surfing along this bottom support line ever since that move, and we've been waving up and down on this thing up until we recently hit this major resistance level at 29.49, which has caused a sell-off and us to officially break that uptrend. We found a lot of support down here in around the $22 area. About 6 times this was tested before it actually started to push up all the way upwards to about 30 bucks. And now we're sitting right back at a few creek lines, which I have marked in a deeper yellow color, which are very important to hold. We don't really want to go much lower than where we are now. Reason being, and we did close again below a major location of 25.50. If we don't hold this area here at about 24.80, I do expect this thing to come down a lot lower towards about 24.40, and then possibly even testing this thing towards that $22 mark one more time for a potential bottom or another test of this liquidity area downwards. Now this would not completely kill the move. However, this would definitely slow things down. I wanted to see a move going into August, but based upon the way this is looking and a full break of this downtrend after overshooting this area here, we had a nice bull channel moving to the upside, which was pretty much pushed above. You cause a ascending broadening wedge, which is a bearish setup, moving into a descending broadening wedge. However, we got some major crosses to the downside from the momentum perspective that have pushed this thing down, and we're just kind of hoping to hold these creek lines that are pretty major. About 24.83 is the last stop on this thing. We closed the other day. What was the closing price? 24.97. Luckily, we did hit that 24.85 mark, which is just right there at that creek to bounce. Now we need to start to really round out and push up, or else it is going to look a little nasty for a little bit, and they would have really delayed this potential move into the multiple hundreds, in my opinion, that GME is set to go for. So let's see if we can hopefully bounce on this thing. I mean, volume has been low on the push to the downside. We can take a look at that real quick. However, we need to be mindful that these guys are good at what they do, and they find ways to make volume look like selling is actually approaching. I want to see, again, at least holding this area. If we don't, I want to see us at least touch this 200 moving average on the 4 and 5 hour, and then start to possibly double bottom, because again, GME loves a good double bottom. Hopefully we get a move like this. This would be a, you know, possibly a 6th and 7th or 8th time to start to move back up and just play a slower push up. Now, I don't see GME going downward. I don't see this thing moving back towards the $20 mark at all. However, it is going to be a slower push overall into the higher figures. Now, it is still in the third wave. I don't see this thing dropping down any further than those numbers, and I want to see it start to play out toward the upside, possibly by September. All right, I looked at it for for August, and it doesn't seem like it's going to happen based on that. It is possible, but let's take a look at the EMAs and SMAs to see what we're talking about from that standpoint. So this is the 4-hour chart here, taking a look at some of the indicators on the momentum front. You got this set up here where you're sitting right below a volume shelf, possibly looking to again break down. We want to see low 24s at very most hold. You see major bounces took place there a couple different times. We want to see that touch bounce as soon as possible. We don't want to go much lower than those areas. Creek line right now is sitting on the 4-hour roughly about $21.40. We don't even want to get down there. We want to hold this area as cleanly as possible to start to turn back around and move in toward that. Looking toward the higher time frames, it is likely that we'll go ahead and hit this area here, which is again 24.35, before hopefully bouncing. This is the 50 EMA, and hopefully that winds up working out in our favor. You can see down here, you can see these areas are starting to curl to the upside. We just need the volume to continue to hold itself up. Lower than average sell volume, you can see on the 23-hour, which is basically the daily chart, is showing itself here. So that's a good thing on this downside push. These candles look aggressive. However, this downside push looks low volume, and hopefully we can get a bounce once we start to hit that low 24 area and start to loop back around to try to break this thing again. Just a matter of time, in my opinion. This thing is still looking bullish. You can see the trajectory of these EMAs looking to start to cross towards these higher numbers, and with this continuing and volume hopefully pushing to the upside, GME is gearing for a crazy move if we can get the continuation that we're looking for. We have not seen this type of a cross up on these EMAs on the daily for quite a long time. If they cross up on that and also on the monthly, we can see some damage be done over the next little bit. This time frame here, where the last time this actually took place, where all of these EMAs crossed over, it took roughly about a few months period before we actually hit those new all-time highs. So it's a possibility we start to see some craziness happening on this thing. It's about a 2-month period here from the time of the cross to here. So that would put us somewhere in the October time frame, if this is correct, if we can actually get that cross to play out. Just a matter of time here. You just can look at these areas all crunching up, looking for volatility to push to the upside. The shorter term time frame moves are not really as important in this case. We really need to pay more attention to the longer time frames on GME. Take a look at the monthly. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm paying closest attention to right now. We are so close to a momentum move to the upside on GME. I mean, this thing is looking like in the next month or two, this thing is going to cross up. And again, this is one of those major crosses that we have not seen since back in January of 2021. You get this, the next month after that would basically just be a complete face rip on the stock, completely going up again. The targets that I have are going to be somewhere in the 218 level, and also even higher, roughly about 365. Just taking a look at this from an Elliott Wave perspective, this thing can really go if we can get that cross. We just need to see those crosses occur. My wave 3 top target is about 214.08. I've talked about this in the past. And then my wave 5 target would be somewhere in the $365 range if we can get the move that I would like to see on those crosses. Again, we'll probably look at that later in the year, but do watch GME quite closely. I think we have an opportunity here for some really life-changing opportunities. All right, really life-changing situations here. So watch this one closely. But again, those areas that we need to hold are important. $24, $22, lower than, hopefully no lower than $24 and change. $21 on the table if they really figure out a way to push this down, but they're using the market to make it happen. So let's take a look a little further into this whole thing. All right, you got SPY pulled up here on a short-term time frame. This is the 30-minute we have pulled up here. You can see that the SPY obviously has been in a ridiculous downtrend situation ever since hitting our top target, which is at 564. Just watching this thing play out has been nuts, because again, we've been able to call the SPY hitting 564 since about March of 2024, letting you know that that was going to be the top. And that's, boy, did it actually show that it is the top, with this aggressive downside move ever since hitting just roughly above it at 564, 565 and 15 cents, coming all the way back down now to roughly sub 550, closing the other day at 548.88. Now this thing is in a downward channel, right? Downward channels look like it wants to actually go ahead and hit this other target that I have here around 546.26 before potentially showing some kind of a break move. However, this is looking still pretty bearish as the price moves down. You have the selling pressure and also the selling volume moving into the upside as the price is moving down, which is a bad indication that this thing wants to go lower. I've talked about it in the past. I don't know if if you haven't been on the live streams, please check those out. But we've talked about this potential move back or retracement back to as low as 505 on the SPY. Now, I don't expect it all to happen at once. Obviously, stocks don't move that way. But an ABC correction after this low, this push downwards, do expect a bounce, possibly lower high. I don't think it's going to go back to 565, 560 that easily. Expect somewhere about the 555 mark before on the B move, the B correction. And then from there heading down towards C, which is a gap fill location at 505 on the SPY, all leading into the potential move down, move back up of this larger channel. This channel has been going on obviously since we hit the lows. This is a 5-wave move on Elliott wave, and then from here obviously correction. This area 505 would be the location before the SPY starts to make its move back to 620. That's the longer term idea for what I expect on SPY. Don't know exactly when it's going to play out, but it is an election year, and I think it's going to fall into the election time frame. Myself and everybody in the Discord were able to jump into some puts on the market prior to. We actually were able to again call that location at 564. We grabbed 530 puts, and now just kind of riding those things down on the close of Friday. I think they were up about 70%, so that was a great play based upon just understanding how Elliott wave and the overall market works in general. Now, taking a look here again, if this is going to drag, if they're going to push this thing down, I do expect AMC GME to be dragged down with this thing as well, just to kill the momentum. It's not the first time they've used the market in order to drag these things down. It happens consistently, and we're just kind of along for the ride. Once you have these the tide go up, it's going to sink all ships. And that's kind of what we're in the boat of right now. I would hopefully like to see AMC and GME start to pull that negative beta situation where they start to move up contrary to the market. We don't know if that's going to happen, but we're going to keep an eye on this thing. Watch the spot. Congratulations if you pick up any of those put positions that we put out there on Twitter or anywhere out online. Hopefully you made some money on this downside play as well. If you're playing the opposite or contra types of ETFs, such as SQQQ or playing UVXY, congratulations on those as well. You're looking really good for the next couple of days. Major locations I expect to support the show on SPY are going to be somewhere around, again, 546.26, and then a major one at 545.75 being the next location that I expect at least a very major bounce to happen on the market. If you take a look at this from this perspective, you have a volume shelf sitting here. It's pretty solid on the 1 hour. Again, 545, 544. You can see we spent a lot of time in that area. All right, so I do expect us to go and revisit it. I don't think it's going to break that easily, but if it does break and we break that 545 area once again, you will fall quite quickly, because there is a big air pocket in this area between 544, 540, all the way down to about 530. And right now, once again, I mentioned I was in 530 puts on the entire market on the SPY. So if you do break that area, expect to fall quite quickly through this area. Again, we didn't do a lot of trading down here before moving up to those higher numbers, so I do expect them to be areas that we can fly through based upon the way volume is traded in those locations. And yeah, something to consider, guys. So watch out for those areas. Again, this is looking like continuation will ensue. Based upon volume, it's stepping upward while the price is moving down. That's a very bearish symbol, and we're going to see what happens. You know what happened with the other day with the idea for CrowdStrike and Microsoft. Don't know if we're out of the woods with that yet, but the market still wants to push down. Again, we already knew this was going to come up, where they're going to make some type of news fit the schematic of the chart. It happens all the time, and we just want to always be in position to take advantage of things like that based upon the chart movements, not what they say with the news. So we don't want to be late to the party. So in this case, watch out for SPY. Again, it most likely is going to try to pull down the rest of the stocks that we're watching, all the ones that we're looking for that were ready to make moves, such as a Tesla, and so on and so on. So, all right, that pretty much wraps up the video today. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe button. Join us on the way up. We'll be here pretty much each and every day, growing our portfolios together and making the outcome income. Check us out on the live stream between 10 and 2 every trading day. Love to have you guys there. Also check out the Discord link below. Love to have you part of the group. All right, take it easy. Peace.